Stars like souls that shine bright to light up the night. All good things come to an end, but the elves will never truly fade away into the darkness. Eternal and beautiful, they vigilantly watch until time is no more. A 1,000 years ago, it was not Suna nor Adelgis that held the most power in Arcadia. It was Esteria, the shining star. Welcome back, travelers. It has been a long and arduous journey through the mountains. As we rest here around the campfire, let me regale you in a tale, nay, the history, of the greatest kingdom to ever grace this world. I know you've all heard of Esteria, but do you truly know how it fell? How the grandest nation with the brightest people could fall into shambles? I don't think you do. Many legends have been passed down by bards and speakers, but here I will tell you the true tale, one I am the most fit to tell you. But to tell you of a great kingdom's fall, I must first start at its beginning, the Titan's Reach. Here is where all elves first began, long before Esteria, Arcadia, and the other elven territories were formed. In this beautiful landscape, they found their peace. Riding across the grand plateau and through the dense forest, they worshipped nature. It is said the elves were the first race, blessed by the gods with eternal life. They do not get sick or die naturally, but this does not mean they cannot be killed by beast or otherwise. Yet here they were serene, happy, but as their people grew, they reached the edge of the Titan's Reach. What lay in store for them was an unknown world, Arcadia. Elves may seem prude and settled in their ways, but once they were adventurous and courageous beyond any man of this age. They were explorers and scholars. Those who ventured off into the world later went on to found Arcadia and other smaller elven settlements. But those who stayed had one goal in mind, to create a grand kingdom to protect the world from a shadow they could see looming on the horizon. Beasts from the darkness had begun to spawn all over the continent. Elves watched as man and dwarf entered this world and formed their villages and settlements. But someone would need to guide the world before chaos took over. The others would not be able to stand against the beasts that now rampaged through our land. So Esteria was formed. The High Council of Light was made of 9 elven house leaders. They would elect their chancellor. The first and only chancellor of Esteria was named Cetus. Cetus was not the youngest or most courageous elf, nor was he the eldest and wisest. But he was the strongest among them in spirit. He made the grand forge in the heart of their kingdom. This was a forge created by the combined magical power of the elves. Here they made their grand weapons and armor, erecting a tower that would pierce the heavens. And this was now their capital city, Luxus, the city of stars. The beasts of shadow that came forth were no match for the might of Esteria. The people of this grand kingdom watched as the humans and dwarves grew, guiding them when they could. And for 500 years this kingdom stood taller than any other. The greatest kingdom of man, Sunheim, was given a blessing for their courage and honor, and an alliance was formed between the two. An alliance that would now be needed more than ever. Because, my dear travelers, those of you who know your Arcadian history know that this was the beginning of Wormkrieg, the Dragon Wars. For years had the dragons plagued the north, but never had they ventured down so far. I'll tell you about Wormkrieg in detail another day. But this war was the beginning of the end for Esteria. The fall of discprencies left nothing between the dragons and the City of Stars. The grand dwarven kingdom had fallen, and Esteria was soon to be next. Here the elves made their final stand. For weeks the city lay under siege by dragon attacks. The great forge had begun to crumble, as was the tower that pierced the heavens. If it were not for the intervention of their last hope, man, Esteria would have been utterly wiped out. King Rorik I led his paladins alongside those from the kingdom of Suna for one last charge. The great city was saved, but the damage had already been dealt. Cetus had fallen in battle, just as his human friend came to save his people. They were without a leader, and most of their infrastructure had been obliterated. Over the next few years, they struggled to rebuild. So many elves had been lost. There was no hope, no help from the kingdom of Akiza. And as King Rorik I passed on, his sons fought for control over Sunheim. The Dwarven kingdom was all but remnants of its former glory. There were none left to aid Esteria, or what remained of it. But one more shining hope from Sunheim, now called Adelgis, had made her appearance. Astrid, warrior princess of Adelgis, had arrived. She was their shining light. Bringing together the remnants of Esteria, they formed several elven settlements in an attempt to rebuild. Astrid was much like her mother, Signa, a grand warrior with a kind heart. She fought back the beasts that encroached on elven territory and did all within her power to save Esteria. She even ended up marrying the grandson of Cetus. But the unfortunate truth is, Esteria could never fully recover. There were no elven brethren who could help, no dwarven allies to aid them. Man had grown too far apart, and Adelgis was just a shadow of Sunheim. Wormkrieg sealed the fate of Esteria, but in following years, the true fall of Esteria was their isolation, their loneliness. There was no trade, no adventurers, just a kingdom in shambles that began to fade away into the earth. After centuries of protecting Arcadia, only one human girl was there to help them. So the elves renamed their fabled western star after her. Astrid was immortalized in this way. Today, the elves of Esteria are scattered across the plateaus and forests. They live in peace with their small tribes, attempting to keep the memory of their great kingdom alive. But there is one small light among the darkness, inching ever so closer. If only they could see it. One day their people will know greatness again. One day the stars will shine brightly over the Titan's reach again. So for now, let me leave you with a song of Esteria. Sit back, enjoy, and listen. Remember the people that walked the plateaus, roamed the forests, that protected us from the beasts when we were nothing but men in caves. Appreciate their art, and look to the stars as they once did. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know it's been a while since my last upload, but I'm aiming to get back into weekly or at least bi-weekly uploads again. So please let me know what you thought of this History of Arcadia episode. Like, comment, subscribe, you guys know what to do. Check out our other 2 History of Arcadia videos while you're at it. Thanks again, and good luck out there, travelers.